In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to reverse engineer an existing Neo4j database. As you can see, we've started NodeEra and we've connected to a Neo4j database using a connection we're calling Sandbox. Now this happens to be a Neo4j database that I created using the Neo4j company's Sandbox facility. You can create this exact same database yourself. All you have to do is go to the Neo4j website, find their Sandbox page, and you can create this database too. This particular database is loaded with data. It's called the Crime Investigation Database, and it's loaded with data related to crime, officers, people, locations, and so on. Now you can see, looking at the schema editor, we've got some indexes, labels, properties, and relationships, but we really don't know how these things are organized together to design and define the overall data model. Now we're going to solve that problem by creating a project and reverse engineering this database. So let's go ahead and do that. Project, new, and you can see now I have a new empty project. My schema tab is still here, and this is my new project. So the first thing we're going to do is project reverse engineer. Now this brings up the reverse engineering screen, and you can see at the top, this is the URL of the database we're connected to, and you can see we have 60,000, 61,000 plus nodes and a little over 105,000 relationships. That's what we're going to scan in order to understand the overall data model of this database. This section here allows you to control how much of the data you're going to scan. The process amount, which is 10,000, defines the amount that gets read and processed at a time, and the skip amount defines how much we're going to skip in between every time we do a process. So with it set up like this, you can look over here and see what the total nodes and relationships that we're going to scan. And with skipping 0, we will in fact scan 100% of the nodes and relationships. Now if you have hundreds of millions of nodes, you might want to play around with these numbers and reduce the amount that you're going to scan. So I'm going to go ahead and change my skip amount to 10,000. So what this means is that I'm going to read 10,000, process those, then I'm going to skip 10,000, and then I'll read another 10. So if you look over here, sure enough, we're going to process about half the nodes and relationships. I'm going to go ahead and change this back to 0 because we really don't have that many and it won't take long at all. Now down below we have this progress screen that'll show us what's happening, and then the results tab will show us the node and relationship templates that get created. So let's flip back here to progress and let it go. So now we've started, and you can see it's processing the 10,000 node chunks. There, it's already finished the nodes. Now it's scanning relationships. What it's doing is looking for patterns in the data, and those patterns will become design templates. Okay, here we go. It's done. So the top grid shows your node templates, and basically it's looking for every unique pattern of labels used in a node. In this particular database, each node only has one label, so it's pretty straightforward. You can see all the different, each label essentially becomes a pattern. The other thing it does is it's reading nodes. It looks at all the properties. So these are all the properties that were seen for every node that has a person label. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that every node has all 4 of these properties, because as you know, if a property is null, it simply does not exist in the database. Finally, you can see in this last column the number that were scanned. So we know how many nodes in the database make up this particular template pattern. As an example, there's 369 persons If we scroll down, we see our big one is crime with over 28,000 crime nodes. The checkbox here indicates that we want to generate the node template. So they're all checked by default. If there's one you don't like, you can uncheck it. But we like all of them, and so we're just going to click Save Node Templates. When we do that, you can see the project's beginning to fill in with the metadata that's been discovered. Now the same thing's true for relationships. These are all the relationship templates that have been discovered. And a template is considered each unique combination of the relationship name, the from node template, and the to node template. Because of this, a relationship name may appear more than once. And in fact, we have an example of that. If we scroll down, the involved in relationship has both an object is involved in a crime and a vehicle is involved in a crime. So we get two different templates because of the different from and to nodes. In this case, the template name has a number appended to it to create a unique name. The other thing it scans for is properties. Once again, if it sees properties being used, and there's really only one example here, the family rel relationship has a rel type property. That's, as you can see, is the only one it discovered in this database. So once again, we can review these. The check-marked ones will be generated, and so we want them all. So let's just click Save Relationship Template, and there they are. They've appeared. At this point, we're done, and we can close this window. Now we have a project that's populated not with just the basic components, labels, properties, and relationships, but we now see templates for node definitions. These are essentially the definition of a type of node, and this is the definition for a type of relationship. Now we can do a lot with these, and we're going to explore that in future tutorials. So I would encourage you to watch. We have additional tutorials on how to create template diagrams, how to whiteboard using the instance diagram, how to generate schema create statements, etc. So thanks for watching, and please take a look at the additional videos that describe what you can do with the project once you've created it.